Hello, everybody. We are here. Alive Again is live again today. Anyway, so we are making it happen tonight, and as you can see, we have an amazing guest, and
Yes.
we are very excited because me and Chanda, that's how you say it, right,
Mhm,
Chanda?
mhm.
Okay, good. I want to make sure I get that right.
Had an opportunity to talk. Isn't
We
she
did.
wonderful?
She is Renelle, so I'm excited. So
I
Shonda
am
has
too,
had
anyhow.
a couple or multiple near death experiences, and
Mhm.
I haven't been able to speak to her long enough to really dig into all of the details. So this is going to be new for me too, everybody. So that's partly why I'm so excited. And of course, Renelle, welcome
Yes, she's a
back. We're all
beautiful
here.
woman. Can you
She
see?
is. That
And
it's just
so
a camera, and you know,
I
I actually
know.
prefer your face. I do. I really do.
Oh, me.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going, white around the edges, you know,
Good times.
just glowing there, just glowing on the edges.
Just glowing.
I,
Just a
I
little
don't
glow.
know. We have a problem with our provider. So sorry, guys.
It's possible. Yeah. So anyway,
Always something wrong.
yeah, it's quite true. So let's actually just go for it. Shonda, do you
Yeah,
want to maybe
I
introduce
want to.
yourself? Oh, go ahead, Renelle. Go ahead.
I just kind of want to. Is it okay if I share what happened last night?
If Yeah, if you want to start with that, let's do it.
I'll tell you what. The reason why is because this is how special this woman is. And she and I talked about this. Usually, when something so profound is about to occur, Einstein talks about this a lot.
Mhm.
The negative forces come around the edges and really try to pound in to the center of the light. And when it does that on the law of physics, just before it goes its brightest, the darkness tries to pressure it into turning it off. And so I had one of those experiences last night and going, what in the world is going on?
She
It
actually
was the
said those
craziest
words to
thing.
me. Yeah.
And I
What is?
said, she must be an incredible guest because we wouldn't have this if it weren't the case. So
This
I'm really excited to hear the story.
this exact thing, actually, the last show I was going to be on, I can't remember the name of the show, paranormal or something, but Timothy was the first person that was hosting, and the day of the show, his computer just crashed,
No way.
and
Oh,
the other host, Chip
wow.
Rosenthal or something like that.
Okay.
Uh,
Oh,
his,
shoot.
his microphone went dead.
I've had that happen twice since we started.
And
Yeah, I'm here too.
Yeah.
a,
Lots of things.
So that's crazy.
a few months ago, I started writing my book.
Oh, really?
It was going great. And then all of a sudden, we started having so many problems, like caregivers not showing up and or just leaving, and having to put ads out, interview, hire, and my health started declining, and I
Oh,
just
no.
wasn't able to write anymore.
Mm.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what the house fire did to me. It put me in a place, well, I died. That didn't help a whole lot either, and I've been suffering
That's
since with sores and
that's a hard one, to
yeah. Oh, there I am in my home. Are you guys getting that on that side?
I think
See,
No.
that's a background.
yeah,
Yeah.
see the
Well,
fireplace.
I should be in that background.
You should be.
Wait,
Okay, never mind. Anyway, let's hear her experience. I really get right into it. And how did the first because the first one is the most profound in that something happens that changes your physiology and your mind thoughts. And you're never the same after that.
First, I want to mention this because I feel like it's very important to my story.
Okay.
When I was born, I think I was about 3 days old. I remember being in the incubator, being wheeled down the hallway into my mother's room, and my Aunt Cheryl was there, and she,
Wow.
was looking at me for the first time, and she put a stuffed chicken in the incubator with me.
Huh? That's
And
the chicken.
I remember thinking, that is the biggest thing I've ever seen in my life at 3 days.
Whoa.
And I remember my mom dressing me to take me home.
Wow.
And I remember the way the lace and the buttons and everything irritated my skin.
Oh,
And I was really,
amazing.
but and I remember the ride home. I remember meeting my brother and sister.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible.
That's
And this
awesome.
wasn't something that you remembered later. You remembered this
Oh,
throughout your young.
mhm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Um,
those are pictures in your mind. That's
yeah.
amazing.
hmm My first near-death experience was when I had a back surgery. I was 10 years old.
10.
Yeah.
10.
Wow.
Whoa.
And I was the first person to have that surgery.
Mm.
And the surgery was, they had to do it in 2 days. The first surgery
Really?
was 8 hours.
Ooh.
And
Wow.
the one where I died.
Oh,
I remember being up, like, it was like I was sucked up into the ceiling. And I was in the corner of the room looking down. And I remember seeing my naked body.
really?
And I was embarrassed because I had a crush.
That's interesting.
I had a crush on my doctor. He was so handsome. He had the most beautiful eyes I'd ever seen. And I was embarrassed because he could see my butt.
Oh, no.
A 10-year-old would absolutely, yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
But that's all I remember. Well, actually, no, it isn't. The anesthesiologist said she's waking up before I went up into the ceiling.
Uh-huh.
And she said, should I give her a push? And
A push?
that's when I went up into the ceiling. I think the push meant more of the drug.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
So you think that that's what did it?
Yeah. Yeah, I think my respiratory system couldn't handle it. Because I have muscular dystrophy.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Spinal,
Bless your heart.
spinal muscular atrophy,
Oh,
type 2.
whoa. Do
When
they know? Do they have any idea what brought that on?
it's a genetic disease,
Man.
both the mother and the father have to be carriers to create.
Oh, serious. I
Yeah.
had no idea.
So that would, I mean, that's rare. It must be.
It has to be. That's just incredible.
Actually, there are a lot of people that have it.
Really.
hmm
And being a
and they
carrier
still
can
have no
be
cure.
passive, like it can be just in your DNA and you not
Mhm.
have the disease.
Um, the mother and father can create children that don't have it too.
Okay. Okay.
Um, I was 15 months old whenever I was diagnosed,
Man.
Wow.
and my mother um took me to, I think it was 3 different doctors to get different opinions.
Okay.
Really?
And the last one said, take her home and enjoy her while you can.
Wow.
She
Oh,
won't,
no.
she won't live to be 2.
Wow.
And she took me home, put me in my crib, which was in her bedroom. She laid down on her bed and she started crying out, God, why me? Why am I? And she said, a light came into the room and it said, do not look into my eyes. And she buried her head under her pillow. She said it
Really?
her. And the whatever it was said, do not worry, she will be okay. We have a special plan for her.
Wow.
And my mom said that she went into a deep sleep, and so did I.
Really?
And it was the best sleep she had ever had.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm sure as a mother, we tend to, when a child is injured, we can handle our pain, but when we see a child injured,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
oh my goodness, there is no greater pain that literally pierces the soul. And that can be so hard on the body. So
Yeah,
she crashed, you crashed.
yeah.
Do you remember the experience when you were asleep?
No, no.
No?
This is just what she told me. When I was growing up.
Well, I mean, that's
Ah, okay.
But
an amazing
after
story.
that, my mom took me to a lot of different churches that had healing services.
Okay.
And I remember being 7 years old. And we went to a big tent revival, and there was a healer there. And they took me up on stage. Um, the minister, or whatever he was holding me. I was standing,
Oh, really?
but I couldn't stand without someone holding me. And he began to speak in tongues and said, stand and be healed in the name of Jesus. He let go of me. I stood for about 3 seconds and then I fell.
Oh, wow.
My mom ran up, grabbed me, and ran out of the church and never stepped foot back into a church again.
Oh, wow.
And fast forward, I am 19 years old, and she and I were in the van. We're about to go somewhere, and the van wouldn't start. She was mad.
Uh-huh.
And I said, let's pray about it.
Oh, wow. Cool.
And she didn't want to pray.
Really?
And I said, Mom, why are you so angry at God?
That's very profound.
She said, what do you mean? I'm not angry at God. I said, yeah, you are. I said, remember the light that came into the room? They didn't say that I would be healed. They said I would be okay. And I'm
Oh,
okay.
interesting. Wow.
Hey, Mom. I was supposed to live to be 2. And I was 19, living independently.
Wow. At 19 and handicapped.
Very
That's
severe handicapped.
courage.
I've lived a normal life. I've gone to college. I have jobs. This is my second home that I've owned.
Wow.
You know,
I love it.
and I did all
You've
that.
done the impossible. Wow.
I did all of that, and throughout the years, I was, very ill.
Wow.
The,
Yeah.
the second time that I died, I was 16, and it was my first time to go to a dentist.
At what age?
Dentist.
16. And in my grandmother, her mother, they took me, they picked me up, put me in the chair. They left the room. The door was shut. And it's about lunchtime. So the dentist and his hygienist, who was, I later found out, his wife,
Oh, gee.
they were talking about lunch. And he put the mask on my face with the gas.
Yeah, the laughing gas.
Yeah. And both of them stepped out of the room into his office. And apparently I can't handle laughing gas.
Oh no.
Oh, wow. Sensitivity.
Yeah, I mean I experienced a tunnel, and I'm inside the tunnel, and it's spinning around and around and around, and there's all these different colors.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh, yeah.
way to the far distance, I see this little light.
Chandra, your experience and mine are almost exactly the same that way. I have not, and all the thousands of near deaths I've listened to, you and I are the only ones that I've heard about the beautiful, colorful lights going by.
There's no words to even. I've tried.
You can't.
I've tried to create them, but you can't.
There's no words to match the incredible intensity of the beauty. It can't touch it. Words can't touch it.
And while I was in this tunnel, I could see myself.
Like
I was
Like
like,
you're outside your body looking
outside
at
of
yourself.
yourself, looking at yourself.
yeah.
That's trippy.
Wow, I have that. That's exactly what I had.
And my eyes were shut, and I'm thinking, wait, how can I be seeing myself? And my eyes are shut.
Girl, that's incredible.
And then all of a sudden, I'm outside of the room. I saw my mom and my grandma sitting on a bench right outside the room.
Wow.
And
Did you know that your aunt was there? Was it your aunt?
no, my grandmother, my
Your
mom.
grandmother. Did you know she was there?
Yeah, they both brought me, and they both had to lift me to put me in the chair.
Oh my, yeah. Okay, so they were chatting.
And then
Nobody knew.
all of a sudden, I am outside of the building,
Really?
And then I'm over the town of Humble, and I could see cars, lined up. It's um, heavy traffic, and I see my dad in my brother's truck.
Oh my goodness. So it honed your heart and soul honed into your dad.
Hmm.
Wow.
And my dad was angry because he had to leave his work van full of very expensive tools because the van broke down.
Oh no.
And he knew that when he returned that his tools would be gone.
Oh shoot.
And
And
you understood this like in that moment when you
mhm.
were seeing this, or was this found out later?
No, I was watching all of it.
Okay.
Wow.
And then
Were
the
you just above the truck or were you down on street level? Do
I
you
was
remember?
with him.
Okay.
Wow.
At one point I remember um I could see it. It's so weird because I'm a spirit, yeah, I could feel the heat coming off of the street.
Really?
Yeah.
Like in an excessive way, or like you normally would feel?
Um, like you would normally feel, I guess.
That's pretty. That's
So
awesome,
you're
actually.
feeling the energy of the earth below your
Mhm.
feet.
That's
Wow.
what, yeah. But the dentist and his wife, they come back into the room, and they have no idea that I'm gone.
Oh shoot, really?
And they're talking about what they're gonna eat for lunch,
Oh no.
and they decide on Mexican food. And the dentist asked me, Chanda, do you like Mexican food? And I said, yes. And he said, Chanda, do you like Mexican food? I said, yes.
Oh my.
They look at each other, and the hygienist said, Chanda, do you like Mexican food? Yes. And they began to panic.
Yeah.
The dentist ripped the mask off of my face
Yeah. Well,
and starts shaking me. And all of a sudden, I'm pulling back through that tunnel. The tunnel started going in the opposite direction, and I popped back into my body, and
oh wow. Interesting.
How long was that?
I don't know.
Wow.
It was
I,
wild.
but it's funny because he was like, "Do you feel like you can go through with this?" And I said, "Yeah, let's do it."
Really? Oh man. That's
It
you.
was no. It
Boy,
wasn't. Ain't
there's
no
that
thing.
courage.
But
Holy cow.
Just a little death. I mean,
a 15-year-old girl, you know.
yeah.
I went into a dentist. I wanted my teeth polished
Yeah.
I
That's
don't blame you.
so I
that's
could
fair.
look pretty for the boys.
Isn't that fun? Yeah. I was always wanting to look pretty for the girls, but yeah, I don't know if it ever worked out. I yeah, but
You're looking
I.
pretty right now,
Oh,
Mike.
thank you. I really appreciate it.
You are. You're so
Oh,
cute.
sweet.
Really, you
You're
are.
sweet.
You're looking pretty
Oh,
good.
thanks. I wore a hoodie today. I was being a little more, you know, I don't know, cold.
More podcasty.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you're
So
looking
And
good.
then
She looks amazing, doesn't she? I
she
love her
does.
hair.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. It's all falling out. I've
Oh
had a
man.
big twice, and uh, my hair's been falling out.
Oh no.
But I told my mom and my grandma what happened, and we get home. My dad had just, got home. He was in the driveway. He was mad. He was throwing stuff around.
I wonder why.
And then he tells her, what happened. And she's just like, oh, wow. Chanda just told me that happened.
So you did tell her
Yeah.
No
beforehand.
kidding.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And what was your dad's reaction? Do you remember?
My dad was too wrapped up in his anger.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Isn't that that's too much of a problem with us humans?
Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes we can get so caught up in that anger we can't see past the post.
Yep.
Anger and fear are the destroyers.
Yeah.
Fear, fear. When I had my near-death experience, for me, I needed to master fear because fear was my biggest roadblocks in my life.
When I had my last experience, when I came back, I feared nothing.
You were courageous.
There's nothing to be afraid of.
Yeah, you're not afraid of death. You're not
Mm-mm.
at all.
I want
You're not afraid of taking a risk. Why? You're not afraid of saying things. And
Mm-mm.
that's really, part of the after effect with near death experiencers is they have this incredible joy and it's all positive energy. And no matter what, they're a light bulb everywhere they walk, but they're not afraid to smile at people, to say hi to people. They come out of their shell. So usually a shy person will become a completely different human being. And a person who's more outgoing lets go of the ego and becomes more empathetic. And
Mm.
so I have always found that really fascinating in watching um, a near death experience who's gone through the tunnel and come back, because it seems like that seems to be the core that changes everyone. That somewhere in that tunnel and making it to the other side.
And Shonda, you were telling me earlier a little bit about that experience, just a small amount, just and you had come back with such an excitement, right? I know
Mhm.
that some things became difficult at that point, right? But there was that initial excitement and the excitement, is that the right word?
It is. I was very excited, and I wanted to save the world.
Oh, yes, to serve the world, to serve all God's children, and everyone was equal.
Bring us all home. We knew each other prior and we
Hmm.
care for each other in ways that I don't think any of us really, maybe you guys, understand
You
fully.
lose that. So if you ever truly were atheist or hardcore racist, you're definitely not woke. You actually become more conservative, but you definitely drop that ego, that and that inhibition. It's just, you know what I mean. It's a whole new world, a whole
Yeah.
new excitement. People, you come with enthusiasm to the party all the time, and it's natural. There's a natural light and charisma. It's just so different than this world. So
Everybody
different.
have these experiences.
Pardon?
I wish everybody could have these experiences.
Yeah,
I
we wouldn't have war, would we?
Mm-mm.
I wish I mean I wish that I could have those experiences without, the
Dying.
trauma it takes to get there, right? That kind of stuff. But
Well, you can. You really can.
Explain.
I'm a hypnotherapist. And so you can, for a near deather, they know how to walk to the house, go up the path. They know who's home. So they're able to open the door for that individual to walk in. And in the backyard is this beautiful garden. And I've heard it been called many names: the way station, the waving place, where you pick up your avatar, some people call it. I think that's interesting. I've never heard that term until the last, oh gosh, what, 5 years? No, 10 years. So I'm not real clear about what that means, but I do know that family members come and meet people as soon as they reach that garden. What was that like for you? Do you remember that?
At that, no, no, I don't remember any um nothing like that.
Was there? So can you maybe, if we start with if you could walk us through that last one, because I know you said that that was probably your most profound experience, right?
Yeah, but the third one is pretty incredible, and it should be shared.
Okay, let's hear it. I mean, let's go whatever order you
Yeah, I would
feel
love to hear
prompted to
your
go.
message.
Yeah.
I was 26. I was living independently with a friend,
Wow.
and the apartments had a real bad rat infestation.
Oh no. That would drive me to death.
Yeah, that
These
girl,
That
she
bugs.
hates rodents.
girl rats were huge. They were the size of cats.
Oh shoot. Yikes. No, I
But
wouldn't do it. I
Rodents of
couldn't handle it.
unusual size.
Can't do it.
but I
I've dealt with a lot of things, but one thing I couldn't do is a big rat. Wow. So you were living with these rats around you.
hmm and I ended up getting really really sick.
Yeah, they carry disease like crazy.
Have you heard of the hantavirus?
Yes. Yes, I do, because we
Mm.
had mice. We lived next to a golf course, actually on the golf course, and I would say we'd get 6 to 8 of them a week. And it was during the Hana virus, when they were, gowning up and saying, if you see a mouse, please call us.
Mm.
So we have the hazmat at our house, I think 2 to 3 times a week to pick up these mice. It scared the jeebies out of me. I was worried one of my kids would get it.
When was that?
Let's see. I think that was in 2000, about 2012, 2010.
Hmm.
And, it was in California when the Hana virus was spreading like crazy. I had a friend who got it here in Utah, and her whole body blew up like a balloon. She couldn't breathe. She had the most incredible near-death experience. And I had actually met the attorney and best friend of Nicole Simpson on the OJ case. And they gave me, do you remember how in the case they weren't allowed to wear the pins anymore, the angel pins?
Mm-hmm.
So they gave me one.
Hmm.
And I'll never forget that day because that night when I came home off the plane, I went straight to the hospital. And I went in there and I pinned those angel wings on her. And the next morning she calls me and she's talking to me.
Oh, wow.
Sherry, is that you? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. she was in death's throes,
Wow.
When the body swells like that, that's hard to recover. And here she was, just chipper and happy and where now I have this angel, and I felt those wings pinned on my chest. Now, she was in a coma. And she said at that moment, the angel came over my body with a white feather. Now, in the Native American tradition, she didn't know that. I didn't know that until years after. But when you use a white feather, a white eagle's feather or a white feather from a swan, and sweep it, you're sweeping all the negative energies that is trying to rob you of life and disease. And it's a healing power. And so this angel swept her feet, swept her body, and did it 3 times. And she said, in that moment, when the 3rd time happened, she saw a huge, like, blast of white light. And when she was there, she was given instructions. One of them was to contact me right away so that I would bear witness of her experience. And I thought I would put it in the book. I never did, but I'm going to in the next one. But she was completely changed. She was never the same again. She actually was thinner. She was happy. Nothing bothered her. She was serving the community, her family. Everything had balance. Not like me, but she had balance, and she had a smile and a joy about her. And that was the other thing too, is she said the angel said to tell you, don't forget the smile. Don't forget to look in the eyes. That was the message to me, because that's what I was told, that I would know by looking at people directly in their eyes. That's what I wanted so badly tonight, was to see your eyes, because I feel this deep connection to you. And I was told that when you do that, you are making a soulful and spiritual contract with that other person. And the contract is not the typical contract that we know, like an apartment or building a home.
Yeah.
The soulful contract is a contract that says, I will be by your side. I will be here if you need me. I will serve you in every way possible. I will love you unconditionally.
Yes.
And it's not just a one-time visit. You know that soulful visit is eternal.
That's beautiful.
I never forgot that. And it was all over those little angel wings that Nicole Simpson's whole team had. I thought it was profound that the judge would not let them wear that in the courtroom. Because I know the jury, they thought that the jury would become biased.
Too sympathetic.
Yes, to Nicole Simpson.
Yeah.
Rather than look at the facts of the case, which was so ridiculous.
Which is fair enough legally, I guess, but still.
Well, and this is the thing that I learned in my near-death too. And they say a lot of near-deathers it's a part of their soul expansion when they come back. And one of that is the fact that, each and every one knows that what you reap, you sow. And those words, if you listen very carefully from the Bible, what you reap, you sow. And that could be positive and negative. So you could put a seed in the ground, but you've got a whole field. So if you start with a black seed, the whole field's going to be a black seed. Or a hard red, red wheat, or winter white. And so what you reap out there after you sow it is what you use for eating and sustaining your life. And so we all have that innate empathy to understand that people have natural consequences and they can't escape it. We all have to have that personal responsibility for our own personal actions, not looking for excuses, but only accepting that which we created, because we are creators. We are creators. I remember when I was a little girl, I had somewhat of a vision when I was walking to school. And like every kid, when it rains and the water goes down the gutter and you watch the leaves, hurrying their way down through the gutter and you want to chase it. I did that one morning and suddenly I raced into that water and suddenly I was in this light. And I said, "Where am I?" And I remember this voice said, "You created this. I created this." And they said, "This is the law of the harvest." And then the quote, "What you sow, you reap." It's a chiasm, what you reap, you sow. Mm. So those who put out negative always get caught. Always get caught. That's the other thing about near-deathers. When they're in the presence of somebody who has committed some kind of sin, that's an interesting word to say, but something horrible, something horrific. The person who has committed that cannot even bear being around the presence of a near-death experiencer. They can't handle the light. And interesting, they'll confess to the person, and to the person who had the near-death experience.
That's so funny that you say that, because when I was 16, I was invited to a concert by a guy, he was a family, and something told me not to go. And my mom had plans to go out that night. And if I didn't go, she would have had to stay home.
Oh.
So
that's extra pressure.
Yeah, what teenager wants to stay home?
She was telling me, go ahead and go, and you'll have fun. So I went, and the whole night I was so uncomfortable.
Really?
This guy was hanging all over me.
Oh, wow.
And one of my best friends was there, like 2 seats over, him and his uncle. And they had a bad feeling.
Really?
And when we left the concert, my best friend and his uncle said they thought about following us home. But
whoa, that's serious. That's serious feelings.
Mm-hmm.
But see, they didn't.
Oh.
And this guy, he took me the wrong.
Oh.
way.
Right.
Oh, there you are.
Okay. Anyway, we were going the wrong way, and I said, "Where are you taking me?" And he said, "I thought, we would go by my house and see if my brother's home." I was like, "I really want to go home."
Yeah.
And he took me to his house. He got out of the van, went in the house, came back a few minutes later. He said, too bad. I said, what do you mean too bad? He said, um, he's home.
That's not. Oh boy, no. We know what
And,
he had intentions.
and then he said, you want to go see a friend of mine? I said, no, I want to go home. And again, we were going the wrong way. And he took
Oh,
me to a really dark alleyway. And there were warehouses. It was really dark.
oh no.
And he proceeded to try to rape me. And, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't fight him. And something told me there is power in his name.
Oh
And
wow.
said, I rebuke you in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ.
Really? Now,
And
did you learn that at church, or it just came to you?
I really don't know. Because my
Were you
family,
going to church every Sunday,
uh,
or
no, I had been to church maybe, I don't know, maybe a dozen times in my life, at that point.
wow? That's profound, because throughout the scriptures, it specifically talks about using that specific power
Hmm.
against the dark spirits. That you can have power over them by saying those exact words. So, what happened after you said that?
He looked at me and his eyes changed. His eyes went from
Um,
black back to their natural brown.
Wow.
Holy cow.
He got up off me, straightened me up, got in the seat, took me home.
Whoa.
I never
Whoa.
till it was graduation day, and we had a party at my mom and dad's house. Everybody was out back. I was in the house making a phone call, and the doorbell rang, and it was him.
Oh, wow.
And he said, "I just wanted to tell you I'm sorry."
Really?
Hmm.
So, that was the next thing that I was going to say. And this happened to me last night. Is that I was told when I was on the other side by my guide, which was my grandmother, that when I went back, that people would apologize. That once they had committed a grievous um, ill feeling or action toward me, because she was preparing me for my scars, my facial scars. She said they will all come back in your lifetime and apologize. All but one have done that. It's amazing. All but one person.
Mm-hmm.
Just blows my mind that God oversees a lot of giving us the opportunity for change, giving us that opportunity to turn our lives around. And we can do it in a second. It doesn't take a prolonged event. It doesn't take, oh, I have to give up this. No, you give up a thought.
Mm-hmm.
Thought leads to an emotion. The emotion leads to power. And that power changes your life and the lives of people around you.
Yeah.
So it's coming to apologize you. How did that affect you? Do you remember that? How that affected you?
At first, I was angry because he was even there.
Oh,
Makes sense.
you bet. I
But
could understand
it,
that.
it took me a while to actually forgive him.
That's something big and very difficult. to forgive, and I'm sure, because that's not the last time you live through something like that, because when you go through something like that, it doesn't, it sticks with you, and it will come back. And I'll have personally times where things that happen to me will come back out of nowhere, right? And that's even after, many years and me forgiving people and even moving past stuff, it still affects me. And so
It's funny how God
there.
brings those individuals back into your life over and over until, or someone like them, until the lesson is learned.
Right. It's because you have a lesson to learn. And,
On both sides, yeah.
Yeah, I was just talking about that the other day to one of my caregivers.
What'd she say?
I mean, nothing really, just
Listen.
But going back to the
third experience.
Yes.
26, got really sick, hantavirus.
Oh,
To
shoot.
the hospital.
Oh, shoot.
It was horrible. There was a big outbreak of it. Conroe Medical Center was
You're
they
kidding.
had beds in the hallway.
Wow.
What state was that in? Texas?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was in one of those beds in the hallway to begin. And when you have the hantavirus, you just shut down. Like you said, blowed up. I blowed up. I was having diarrhea, vomiting, like pneumonia type, symptoms.
Hantavirus was killing people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they talk about COVID. No, hantavirus was a death sentence.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
Yeah, one of my neighbors, she was so sweet. I loved her. Dorothy was her name. She was in the hospital with me, and she passed away.
Oh, no.
That's rough.
But I was in there for 3 weeks, and the doctor came into my room, and he said, "Try every antibiotic that I know to try. Your body is not responding."
Oh, no.
He,
Oh, shoot. How did you feel in that moment when he told you that? Were you afraid? Because of your other experiences, were you afraid, or
no.
what did you feel?
What'd you say? Yeah, it cut out.
Peace.
Peace.
I said, if I'm going to die, I want to go home and die.
Yeah.
And I didn't go back to my apartment. I went back to my mom and dad's house. And me being a fighter.
That you are.
Yeah.
I was sitting in my wheelchair at the breakfast table. And, at that time, I had lost all control of bowels, bladder, everything. It was horrible.
Oh,
so I'm sitting there in a diaper and a t-shirt, and I'm trying to get an egg eaten and a little glass of juice.
Get protein, yeah.
And my family had gotten up, they were done. They went about their day. And I was sitting there looking out into the garden. They had French doors.
Okay.
And the backyard was beautiful.
Wow.
Beautiful trees, flowers, plants. It was gorgeous.
I'll tell you, that just, to me, seeing a garden or a backyard like that brings so much peace to my heart.
Mm-hmm. I I forgot to focus on breathing
Oh, interesting.
because if I didn't focus on breathing, I quit breathing
Yep, I know that one.
and forgot to focus. And I left my body. I went through the table, through the doors, into the garden, and there was a banana tree. I went inside of the banana tree.
Hmm.
Wow.
It was one of the most amazing things I've ever experienced.
Did you become a part of the banana tree, or was it?
It was like, I don't know how to explain it. I was inside of it. It felt,
Yes, you become a part of it. You literally, like mine was a flower. And for me, I went from the edge of each petal and would funnel down into the center. My whole soul and my whole body became a part of that creation. And that's it's not about your body, your spirit body fitting that exact flower. It's that you are becoming a part and it's becoming a part of you.
well, you know that we are all connected anyway, you know? And that plant, that tree, it was alive. I mean, it had feeling. It was happy.
You know, studies have shown, and I can't remember what university, this was before, this study came out. I had mentioned to people trees know each other. There are female trees and there are male trees and families, and they like to stay next to each other in groupings. And they do talk to each other. That creaking sound you hear is the sound of which they hear and talk to each other. Then their root system sends energy out to different trees to talk to them.
Mhm.
That's why you see trees in like a cluster. So you got to have that wonderful, wonderful, incredible experience of being a
It,
part of creation.
it was so beautiful. I could feel the energy flowing through it and the sun, beating down on it. And it was happy.
It had the feelings and
And
emotions
Fran
because
asks,
you were there.
Fran
Because
asks if
the
you could communicate with the flower soul, like not flower, or in your case, the banana tree, but also Brunel, the flower.
well, believe it or not, a banana, though people call it a fruit, is actually a flower of a banana tree. It's the bud.
Oh, that makes sense.
So she got to have that opportunity to experience something that was delicious and just incredible, reaching its fullest. What do they call it? The fullest of its creation.
Yeah.
As I was told on the other side, to become a part of understanding the completion of everything in its fullest um, magnificence and its fullest beauty and its fullest,
Meet the measure of your creation.
yeah, the full measure
Yeah.
in every way. And it happens so fast. Like I was always uh, fascinated when we would go through the garden that I would look at certain trees or a blade of grass and how fast I became a part of it. That
Mm.
quick.
Wow.
And what I was amazed. I mean, it was just like funneled right into it and becoming a part of that blade. And that blade was so happy.
Mm.
It was praising God's name.
Yes,
Everything praised God's name
it's
and
beautiful.
sang it.
And
And
that's
they would,
how it was on the other side. is what you're saying, right? I know that the souls are here as well, right? So, but these experiences happened there, correct?
Yes.
Renell? Okay. So,
Oh, I didn't know who you were
yeah,
asking.
that's a good point. So,
Because you could ask either one of us would
yeah.
probably answer the same way.
So, you could feel that it was there. You could just, you knew it.
Oh, the
Fran
minute
asks,
you, the
do the
moment
flowers
you,
and the trees have personalities?
yes. And
So
that's
they're
what that
separate
study proved.
entities.
You know, now uh, my home is right up against the woods, and I've always loved the woods. I love the trees, and would go out in these trails back here
Hmm.
to communicate with the trees.
That's beautiful.
Oh, that's so awesome.
It's
Then I'm not the only one.
still,
Still to this day, you can still feel them.
yes.
That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And
They say that when people put their feet in grass or near any living thing, that they begin to heal faster, that
Mm-hmm.
the frequency of their body rises.
Mm-hmm.
that's my next question is, you've said before, Renell, about the frequency or that it was almost like music, like they were singing
Oh,
those
beautiful,
praises, I think is,
beautiful.
and it was like sound, right?
Yes, it is it's like an orchestra.
It is.
You can get it in this life if you'll stop. I remember I was with a dear friend of mine who died of COVID, and he was the shaman for the Hopi people.
Mm-hmm.
And he and I were very close. And we went way up, you'll know where this is, Mike, where you go up American Fork Canyon, you go all the way to the top, 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 and there's a glacier lake up there.
Oh yeah.
And on the way, there's waterfalls.
Yep.
And we were going along the waterfalls, and I was chatting away, trying to find herbs for him he was looking for. And he said, "Shh." I said, okay. He says, come. And we got to the water, and I'll never forget it. He scooped up the water. He, it was a ceremonial way of bathing, putting the water over your head, touching your forehead, touching your lips, touching your throat, touching your shoulders with water. And then when you were done, you were to sit because you were becoming a part of that water. You were to sit and listen to the beautiful orchestra of the sound of each single drop
Mm-hmm.
and how they played together with each other. It wasn't just random drops falling from the sky. There was an actual harmony. And he said, when you start listening to that harmony, and a dear friend of mine in Hawaii, she is the only living relative of, King Kamehameha and his wife. And we were talking about that very subject, about how the trees talk. And when I go to a special place way up at the top of the mountains, there is a little valley full of quaking aspens. And when I walk into that valley, there is a beautiful, welcoming orchestra
Mm-hmm.
saying hello to me, and but more than anything, praising God in my presence.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
And I love it. I go up there, and you would think, like this last time I was there, which was this last summer, it had been, probably 4 years since I'd been up there. You would think those trees would forget.
Mm-hmm.
Not one of them forgot. They were beyond excited. They were shaking. And there was not a wind in sight.
Hmm.
but these aspen trees were quaking and shaking and making the most harmonious, beautiful, tingling. My body just would. Have you ever had that where you hear music that just makes you get pimples and goosebumps?
Yeah.
And it just affects you that way. It goes right down your back. Well, that's what the aspen leaves do for me in that little valley. And I feel so close to heaven. It helps me stay here, which is very hard. Do you feel that's hard?
Very, very hard.
You think about it every day?
Yeah, I do.
So, people think it's, a suicidal thought. It's not. It's just you miss home. That's home.
Yeah. And see, I have that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, please.
It was so hard for me, especially this last experience, because I went what I call all the way. If that was all the way, I don't know. Who knows? But coming back, it was so hard for me to be here. I didn't know how to be here.
I get it. That's hard.
I never really did feel like I fit in.
Yeah.
I was placed on Earth by accident. I've always
And
felt.
and you walk the lonely heroes walk.
Mm-hmm.
And I think anybody doing a soulful journey will know that loneliness, that soulful loneliness that falls on you. And it's that place between heaven and earth and missing heaven,
Yeah.
but being tethered to earth. And though you have these beautiful sounds and you understand, like she said, you understand the traditions then of my forefathers here on the islands. Every tree talks to us and tells us what's happening on the island. You can be clear on the other side of the island and know exactly what's going on because the plants are telling them. And that's how they survived this little tiny islands in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, is relying on that relationship. And we will all have it back if we're willing to,
Yes.
open ourselves to it.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
I think we get a sacred commitment to not destroy the earth and take a more stronger personal responsibility. I don't think you need to have, climate change to force that, because I think everyone in their own way personally takes responsibility for the earth, even if it's near their home, in their gardens. And yeah, they should. If they do that, they learn this beautiful love and respect for it. And I think those who are around, those nuclear buttons think twice when they spend more time, in nature. It changes you. I know that they send sometimes prisoners to go out and purposely weed. You've seen them along the freeway, right? But they purposely get them in that place so that they become closer to nature and being more personal responsible by picking up the trash there.
I tell people all the time, turn your phone off. Go out.
Yes, thank you.
Every
Turn that phone off.
Everybody's got their head down, looking at their phone, and they're not paying attention to what's going on around them.
What is it? Generation Z or X or whatever. I said after that point, when everyone had a cell phone, even babies, that they would have this permanent hunchback from sitting over their little paddles, playing their games or playing on their phones. We don't, all our secrets, all our personal freedoms are taken away the minute you have that phone on.
Yeah.
Somebody is watching that. That belongs to the government.
Yeah.
belongs to the government. So they are well aware of all your habits and
Yeah.
what you do online, and you lose your freedom. My gosh, put the darn phone on if you want to off and go to the grocery store without it. Leave
Mhm.
it far. You don't have to be traced and followed. You know,
You know what's
enjoy
sad?
your freedom.
People don't even know how to get from point A to point B anymore.
No.
I
Without,
know, right?
yeah,
Up there, gee, I've watched people blindly go places, I included. I am the worst of following everything that Google Map tells me to do to get to a place and getting lost. And in fact, I think every time, why didn't I just write it down on a piece of paper? Look at Google Map, look how to get there, write it down, and I'd probably get there a lot faster and put it on a sticky note in front of the dashboard because that's what I used to do. So why don't we do that anymore? Why do we rely on that phone
Well, we
to
lost the
tell us
ability
what to do?
to do that through the stars. Most of us, when it was pretty commonplace back, with fishermen and different people that that's how they navigated stuff was through the
yeah,
stars.
the knowledge has been lost.
Yeah, a lot. And when it comes to stars, yeah, that's a whole nother
Specifically,
subject.
it's
But
huge.
seriously,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's a huge subject. And
So
yet, how many people even know, like in big cities, of what the sky looks like or that there's stars there?
it blows my
I
mind.
grew
I
up in
live,
LA. I didn't
yeah.
know there were stars until after I graduated high school. When it way up in the mountains, I realized, oh wow, are those satellites? My friend said, no, those are stars, silly.
So I have two questions. First, first I want to get back, and I would love to hear the rest of your story,
Yes,
Chanda, and hear the rest of your last experience after this one question, which is rocks, stones.
rocks. Yes, tell us
Do
about
they
that.
have very similar qualities as the trees, or are they a different kind of energy? How does that work?
Um, that's so funny you mentioned rocks, man, because I wanted to talk about this. I can't tell you like I've never felt the energy of a rock, but I have a memory that I brought with me
Mm.
to Earth, and it's just of a rock. It's a giant rock. I had the same dream every night for 7 years,
Oh my goodness.
and
Wow.
I
I
would
know
just
what that
tell
is.
my dad on about it, and it's just a rock. It didn't do anything. It didn't move. Nothing happened.
It
It was,
didn't even have, it wasn't even pretty, was it? Or crystal.
it was just a rock.
Plain, right? Yeah.
And when I turned 8, I stopped dreaming about it.
Hmm.
Really?
But I,
When did you have this dream?
I started dreaming about this massive library.
Oh, tell me about that.
It, as far as the eye could see, there were little boxes, and inside the box were balls of light. And I was the librarian.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
That
And
is cool.
I dreamed that dream every night for as long as I can remember. And then
Go ahead.
recently, in the past, I want to say maybe 9 months or so, I had a reading done by a friend. Well, a friend's wife. And do you know who Johnny Enoch is?
Say that
What's
again.
his name?
Johnny Enoch.
I've heard of him. Yes.
He's a good friend of mine.
Okay.
Really?
His wife did a reading on me, and she said, "Does keeper of knowledge mean anything to you?"
Mm.
And I said, "You know, not the words per se, but when you said that, it reminded me of that library."
Like Metatron.
She
What
said,
is that? What did
"She
you
said
say?
I'm a keeper of knowledge."
Mike said something that I think is fascinating. What did you call it, Mike?
Like Metatron, which in old text was very linked to Enoch. Um, and
I
his
don't know
story.
very much, so I'm very about that part. So I'm very interested in hearing
So
what you say.
and Enoch was very he was known as basically a scribe in those texts, and he was the scribe writing down a lot of his visions. Had him writing things. Anyway, my point was just a side note, but that's yeah. I think that we had jobs before we came here, not just jobs like go to work, whatever, but
Responsibilities, yeah.
and we were somebody that did think, like, I know I was somebody that was very engaged in, I can't say another way besides missionary work. I was somebody that gathered and tried my
Mm-hmm.
best to find
Oh, that's so
my
you.
family and the people that I love and bring them
That's so
into the
Mike.
light and bring them to the light and try my best and whatever that means. So I know that that's partly who I was, and
Yeah.
am, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you are.
But I know that
He's
that's
the most
different for
loving
every
man I
person,
know.
and we all lived. And so, sorry, I just had to get that out there.
Yeah,
And
that resonates with me. That exactly the same way.
yeah,
And you know what's interesting is when we get over there, I found was what I looked at is so there is no
My phone's dying.
oh,
what's that?
her
What'd you
phone's
say?
dying. She doesn't have a
Oh,
lot of.
okay. So what every job is as important as the other. Whether you're cleaning, you know, is something in the garden, or you're God, training to be a God. They're equal. There's no, there's a respect and love for everybody's job.
And
There's just an absolute knowing that this is what I'm going to create, this is what I'm going to do here, and this is what I'm going to manifest when I go to Earth.
we are
Do you
part
have
of each
any
other.
memory,
Yeah.
Chandra, that you can
No.
remember
Do
of who
I?
you were besides the librarian?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Do you remember like hearing a name that your name was different
No.
in your dreams when you were a child?
Mm-mm.
I ask because I'm just stirring up memories to see.
I know that inside these boxes, they were um, people, their experiences.
Well,
Like it was a major responsibility being a keeper of knowledge.
do you know in Egypt they call them ossuaries, and the Jews and the
Mm-hmm.
Israelites used that
Mm-hmm.
to. They would take the bodies out, dry them out, and cook off what was left of the human body, and then take the bones and put them back into the ossuary or the box, and they would write who the person was on the side of the box. But more
Mm-hmm.
importantly, they believe that all the knowledge and who they are is in the ossuary for the rest of the family members to learn by. Isn't that interesting?
That is interesting.
That's pretty on the nose.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like that's who you are. You have this huge responsibility over overseeing that and
Yeah.
keeping the balance of everything.
Yeah.
Because
And
knowledge can be dangerous and it can be wonderful all at the same breath.
And we're all out here gathering that knowledge, and we got to
We're
bring it back
driven by
somewhere.
it.
Yeah. So let's hear. Anyway, I just wanted to ask about the rock because I had a connection a few times with different. Yeah, that's a whole nother story. But yeah, I had some.
Well,
I
Mike knows how
named
I.
one of my rocks. It was his name was Todd, and I realized that. Yeah, but
No, do you
I
remember
have
that
these.
time when everyone had a pet rock?
I remember hearing about that,
I
but
had a rock band.
Oh,
a rock band.
give
Yes,
the age away.
I love me some rock band. I love me some rock. Anyway, let's hear. More importantly, I want to hear the rest of your story, Chanda. And
There's just so much to my story. I mean, we could talk for days and days and days.
Well, I'd like to hear something more, so I'm open if you are.
Um, let's see, where was I? I went home, had the experience with the tree. Oh, okay. This is where my life completely turned around.
Really?
I had been a member of the church for about 3 years, and I was like, yeah, I would go to church every now and then, but I got really heavy into the church, and about, let's see, I'm gonna say about 2 months later, I I got my first computer, and my brother-in-law hooked me up to AOL and taught me how to use the internet. And so I was Googling everything about, LDS Church, and I found LDS singles.
Do you know,
And
I just found out that you were LDS? I had no clue.
are you
Yes, we both
yeah,
are.
we both are.
really?
Yeah.
Yes. Small world, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that interesting how God works?
Yeah, that's crazy. I
That's
was.
amazing.
I think I was. Wasn't I telling you earlier that I was drawn to the church?
You were telling me on the phone earlier. Yeah. At least when you were talking to me, we talked about it shortly, like a little.
Did you know that she was a member?
Only from that conversation. Yeah. At that moment.
Um, the missionary mail calendar.
Yeah.
I created that.
You did.
No
Thank
way.
you, because I got a lot of meals because of that when I went
You
out.
did that?
Yeah, I created that,
Man.
Wow.
That
Now
spread.
look at that.
and it's all over the world now.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, it is. See how you have now created something that has left an impact on people's lives.
I love my missionaries. I love them.
Oh,
There's
are
such a
you a missionary mom?
But you know what? That's what they call me.
good.
I even have a pin, missionary mom.
That's awesome.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah,
Because I appreciated people who were in your position. It's not easy being out there, and there's such a there's a level of lightness, and it's not just light, but lightness that you have when you're serving a mission, because there's not.
yes.
It's a different type of calling than anything else that you can really most people have in this world. So it was really nice to have people. So thank you for creating that, because although I would say I was forced to eat a few
Food that
things
you went,
sometimes
what?
that I wasn't happy with, but that's just because I can be picky. But I think that anyway, I was great. I'm grateful because I got some amazing stuff and met some amazing people. That's really,
Yeah.
because
That is so huge, Chandra, that these relationships are so built out there on the mission field.
yeah.
I I kept seeing these guys, like, every day they were getting out and, walking streets, and some of them
Wow.
didn't have cars. They had to ride their bike.
Yeah, that's half the time.
And
That's how I was too.
I even went out with them, and my children.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, I did.
Well, good
And
for you.
I started seeing them losing weight.
Mm.
And I was like, are you eating? I would say, have
Um,
you eaten today? No. Did you eat yesterday? I don't. Did we? No, we didn't.
yeah, I hear that here.
Boys that age, man.
And I was like, oh no, no, no,
What
no,
is that
no.
about, Mike?
We are not self-aware in that situation. Yeah.
At
Continue.
first, I was feeding them on my own.
Mm.
I was feeding them 2 meals a day, every
Wow.
day, every day.
Really?
Yes.
You really are a
And
scary mom.
when I moved into my own apartment, it got to where it was very difficult to be able to do that. I could barely feed myself.
Yeah, I get you.
So I thought, why should I be the only person receiving the blessing of feeding these guys?
Oh,
So
that's
I
awesome.
drew a calendar, real pretty. I put missionary meal calendar at the top, little flowers on the sides. I put it in the binder in a Relief Society that was passed around, every day or every Sunday. You would check off.
Yes, I sure they still do.
Yeah,
They still do.
and I slipped it in there, and when it came back, people had signed up.
Wow. You know who talks about that a lot? Is
Yeah.
what is his name? Elder ah I could see his face. He's really boisterous in Holland.
Okay.
Elder
I
Holland.
love him. He's my favorite.
Me too.
I
Yeah.
love him.
I had
Yeah.
the beautiful blessing. He was in my ward. Can you imagine that?
Oh man, I would have been so happy.
His wife was just the most adorable, outgoing.
Hmm.
She was like a cheerleader, you know? She was just
Yeah.
so sweet. She was
Oh,
amazing, powerhouse. And I'm impressed that you fed the world.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
fed the
When
world.
when I when I got married and moved to West Texas, I started doing it there too. And then about
Really?
a year, no, 2 years later, I had a kid come through, and I fed him, and um, I asked him, do they do this where you live? And he said, you know what? Yeah, they recently started doing that. I was like, what?
Oh my goodness.
And yeah, about I would say 10 years ago,
Well,
I was
that's what I
hearing
remember when it started.
I was hearing that it was all over the world.
Yep,
Oh yeah.
it is. Because my daughter served in Korea and they have it. And it was so sad because in Korea, you have to eat it. You
Mm-hmm.
can't say no because
Right.
it's not proper.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to eat everything they give you. My daughter said she threw up every day for about a month on the mission. She had to eat way too much food.
Mm.
She actually
Mm-hmm.
gained weight on a mission. So thanks to you, my daughter got fed, and I was really worried about that because we struggled with finances, and I didn't have the money to give her while she was out on that mission. And it was missionary moms like you that made the difference for her. And that little chart, that little chart gave them the peace to know that, oh, we're going to eat Friday instead of uncertainty.
Every most nights in some places. So I mean, I think, yeah, that's no small feat, even though it may. So thank you.
It may sound like it, but whoa, no.
Not with
You
what
did
it
a
turned
big
into.
thing.
Yeah, it moved something, because that was you got to feed those that are trying to take the light to the world.
You know, I couldn't believe that no one had thought to do it. Like, why
Something
did
so simple.
why did it take this little handicapped girl in Porter, Texas, to do that?
Because God waited for that to happen just for you.
It's crazy.
You knew. See, it's interesting. It's like certain individuals that are really wealthy. Well, why? It was such a simple thing. Why did somebody else think to do this?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah, it
and
has
we
to start
do, but we
somewhere.
think
Yeah,
we put too many doubts in our minds, right? Oh, it's
Exactly.
not going to work. We're going to get this and that from somebody. Oh, it's not. They're going to give me a hard time for it. Blah blah blah. We're
Mm-hmm.
afraid of what other people think.
Mm-hmm.
We
so
really.
let's because of the time that we're running into, I mean, we'll talk off air, and maybe there is another time again when we
Oh, I
can
would
talk,
love that, Chanda.
Yeah, I would
Be,
love to do it.
because I want your story heard. I want I want it recorded.
Yeah.
Yes,
Recorded. And
Mm-hmm.
that, I think, that's really what I feel in doing this, is a need to
a record,
record a record. And we are creating it, and we hope people
a library. Yeah.
like it and want it, and understand and try and join with us. But which, by the way, like and subscribe.
Yes, please like and
Yeah,
subscribe. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe.
I
I'll come
hear
up
the
with a
music. Yeah.
jingle.
Yeah, and we definitely, Fran, I think that's really what I want to hear, the whole near death experience. And I know she has things to share, as
Yeah,
far
now
as
that she
what
knows
she
that we're LDS
feels.
too, she'll be able to say more
Yeah, that's true, and
because she knows we understand.
she can really express the messages. I'm sure there were messages and things that the
Oh
world
yeah.
needs to know.
Yeah.
And
So
scriptures.
I want
Yeah.
that.
From that point right there to my last experience, there's so much.
Wow. I'm so
So
excited. I'm excited to have you back on. I'm
yeah.
excited to see you again. Thank you for coming. It was such a joy.
Yeah,
Well,
I
thank you
kind
for having
of
me.
it like that, didn't it, Mike?
yeah. It went fast. I really would love to hear all that. I feel
And if
very
the audience is
strongly.
out there, please, we need you to like and subscribe so we can have her back.
Yeah.
And I want to hear what your thoughts were tonight about trees. What is your favorite? You know what I know what I created when I was on the other side? Mike knows, don't you, Mike?
I'm trying to remember. Wait, I know you told me. I know we talked about it.
Which is so odd that you would never know it and you never think it. Birds.
Yeah. Okay. I was thinking.
Birds.
In my head the bird, but I was thinking which bird. So,
Yeah, a
but if
bird.
you were creating birds, yeah. So
Birds find me and deer.
that's true. She has like some stories that are hard to believe when it comes to deer. I would tell you that, but
Really?
they're true. Like
Yep.
they come up to her and they lick
They're so
her,
true. I have
and it's
pictures.
like this. They know her, and it's
You
so
know
it's
what? I'm like that with animals. It doesn't matter what it is.
I believe
they
Like
just
it.
feel comfortable with you.
yes, yeah. Like animals are drawn to me.
Yeah, but
Because they're celestial.
Mm-hmm.
They don't sin. They're celestial.
Yeah, yes, friend. Real conscious birds when she was creating. Or were you creating them spiritually?
Me?
Yeah,
Yes,
the birds. Yes.
exactly. The colors, the literal how to make sure that each little tiny filament of that feather weighed out perfectly so it could fly and have
There has to be a
execute
design,
patterns.
a design for things. And yeah, so
So it's almost mechanical in a way, but intricate. It's so intricate that it blows the human mind to just for me. I do you know what my favorite subject is? The mitochondria.
yeah,
I love the mitochondria in the cell. It blows me away how that tiny little thing inside a cell gives us the energy to get going every single day.
it's the spark.
It's the spark of life. It's the
Yeah,
spark of God
Yeah.
in that
that's
tiny
beautiful.
little mitochondria. And in the center is like this little like geo, what do they call it? When something balances so fast that it keeps going. What do they call that?
Uh,
When it's perpetual motion.
uh, it's oh my gosh, when the way the Earth spins.
Yes, I'm trying to think of the word.
I
But
can't
in the
believe I.
center of the mitochondria, that's exactly what happens. You think it's sitting there cell, because we grow up at school seeing these flat cells on a picture. We're not aware of how I encourage everyone to go online and look up the motion of the human cell. It will blow you away. You will go, that's in my body moving around like that. They all have
Times
personalities
trillions.
too.
Yeah, I have a feeling that we could have some really deep conversations. It's
I like
actually
that.
really nice to talk to people that get it.
I would love that.
Yeah.
And I don't understand it as deeply as Ronell because I haven't had the same experiences. But at the same time,
It's comforting for
I've
me.
met things in the mail.
Yay! I
So
found someone who understands.
I know.
so thank you for coming, Chanda. And let's talk off air when will work for you, and we can figure that all out. And we appreciate everybody for coming. Although
And
there is,
you and down in, put down in the bottom what day you think you want her to come back.
well, maybe she'll have a say in it. I don't know, Renelle. We don't want to, put her in a corner.
Well,
Make
I
her
know, but I'm
Renelle.
trying to encourage people to be proactive in
Yeah,
their
actually, I like that. Let's and Fran's been great asking questions today. So thank you, Fran. We appreciate it. She asked, did you communicate with the birds that you created, Renelle?
throughout the entire process. It's like dressing a child. You create the child's there, and you're having that child try on different things to see if how that feels. What's that
That's
look like?
interesting.
How are you enjoying that? Does that bring you joy? Does
Well, is
that
there?
does that fulfill the creation?
Yeah,
Does
the
that make
measure
you
of the
feel that
creation.
the fullness of?
That is
And so yes,
contentment and joy comes from, I believe that. So I mean, yeah. So, is
I'm
there anything
excited.
else that you guys had? That
I
you
listened to
had?
John Pontius today. Do you remember John Pontius?
I do.
Visions of Glory.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that, Chanda?
No.
Visions of Glory. It was real popular for a while, and people were buying it like crazy.
Mm-mm.
It was a near death experience book about what Zion would look like in the millennium and how we would be in the millennium. And it's so interesting because near deathers are drawn to the church because of the principles that they learn,
Yeah.
of self improvement, betterment, self awareness, love, kindness, all those qualities.
What drew me to the church was, oh, I'm going to bear my testimony now.
I like it.
I love it.
I was 23 years old, and I was searching. I was in and out of a ton of different religions, and I was in my room praying, pouring my heart out to God. Just, where do you want me to go? Where do you want me to be? I want to know the truth. And
Wow.
I had a vision. And the vision was a wheat field
Oh
blowing
my gosh.
back and forth. There's a little farmhouse off in the distance.
Wow.
And I hear a voice say, I will give you peace.
Wow.
And I was, wow, turn on my chair. I zoomed down the hall into the living room to tell my family what had just happened, and nobody's there.
Really?
And the TV is on, and it's a commercial about the Book of Mormon and the
Oh,
Bible.
wow.
I remember those.
And
Yeah.
I said, that's it. I called the number. I ordered my Book of Mormon. Back then, it took about 2 weeks or more to get to you. I have my Book of Mormon in 3 days. It was hand delivered by my missionaries.
Oh,
So, what year, do you mind if I ask?
That was, let's see, 93, I think.
Okay. Because
wow.
as they mature, because I
You're
went on my
young.
mission in 2002, and that was a common practice then at that point, but it had only been around for 10 years, 15 years, where it would be sent to the local missionaries rather than just shipped.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, yeah, it's beautiful. So,
Oh my
And,
goodness.
and I say my missionaries because no one else could have baptized me. No one
Wow.
else would have taught me the way they did.
Yeah,
I
when
answered
mother,
the door. I answered the door. I said, okay, I'm going to let you in. You're going to sit down. I'm going to tell you what I believe. And if you don't believe the same way I believe, you can
you're
get up
gone.
and walk out.
at that point, you had seen some things.
Yes.
So,
Were they overwhelmed by the things you were telling them?
Yes.
I'll bet.
They thought at first they thought I was really a member and I was just like playing around.
Oh my goodness.
because it matched and it,
Yeah.
With
Like
your new
I
gift.
I knew that there was a pre existence. I knew that.
you remembered, which
Yes.
is so unbelievably unique.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? We all know it if you're outside of the church. How many people say child of God? I am a child of God. I have a father and a mother
Mm-hmm.
in heaven. I can't express, even in the Muslim world, they know that the scripture that says, I knew thee in the womb.
Yeah.
I knew thee in the womb means that your intelligence was in that womb.
Mm-hmm.
And he knew you from that very minute of creation. Isn't that powerful?
I knew
For
you
me, it
before you.
is. I'm just overwhelmed by it.
Yeah.
That God knew us that intimately and knew us even before we even came into the world. And so people are going to hate me for this, and sorry, wokes. I'm sorry. I'm not a trans hater. I actually watch Claire White all the time, and because I'm fascinated by her life, because she's conservative um, and she doesn't like what the trans community is doing, what they're trying to achieve by what they're doing, and that goes to the heart when you say, "I knew thee in the womb." If God knew you were a male or a female, He didn't change it. He could have right there and then, but He didn't. Right there in the womb. So God knew you in the womb, and knowing you came into the world, male or female. And it's the scriptures are riddled throughout the Holy Bible about God knowing us.
Do you guys believe in past lives?
Yes,
So
I
let's talk
believe
about
in not
this.
reincarnation, but incarnation. And now, with the new telescope they have, the Webb, it is mind blowing. The trillions of galaxies out there, by the way, trillions. It's foolish of us to believe that we would only incarnate in this universe. You know what I mean? If we are progressing, of course we're going to move to a different type of universe that fits our progression. Correct?
Right.
I believe
Is that where you're at,
none of the
Chanda?
experience, Chandra, that you were talking about is being that librarian. I really believe that you were, so this is something I just love science, and it's not in my near death, but one thing is about the time continuum and how that fits. But I believe that we are coexisting with our other lives in this moment,
Mm-hmm.
in this very moment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not on a
Yeah.
linear timeline.
I could talk for days. I mean, yeah, but I have a caregiver here right now, and
Oh,
she's
okay.
yeah,
She's
she's trying to
funny.
get me ready for bed. But no,
Okay.
we got to do this
Yeah,
again.
let's do this again
Let's
soon.
do
Yeah,
it.
We'll
yeah.
I
talk.
love
Maybe
it.
We'll.
I mean maybe we could even like talk about different types of things like
Yes. Different
okay.
gifts.
Yeah.
I am completely open to all those things. So I think that yeah, let's talk and go with that. Go
The
you go
reason
with your
I
caregiver,
invite
and
the
thank you
audience
so
is
much.
they're part of the
Thank you so
family.
much for coming and being a part of our show and telling your story, because I think it's important. I really do.
I do too.
Thank you.
So
Thank
Thank you.
you. I'm so
Well,
glad we met. Talk
mhm.
about
thank you.
no accident.
I don't even know the story of how you met, so we'll have to tell. You'll have to tell me that. So thank
All
you.
right.
You
Okay.
guys,
All
thank you everybody, and you have a wonderful night. We'll see you on the other side.
right. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.